Money management is something that women weren't really taught to do. I was living in London, a CFO, working in the world of finance, surrounded by men. I've sat in a room and I was the one who initiated the meeting. The other person in the room he thought I was just there to make tea.
She learned the language of numbers the hard way, through 14x exits, multi-million-dollar acquisitions, and glass ceilings that cracked but never quite broke.
I have a really simple rule. Of all the money that you receive every month, you take 10% and you put that into...
Tell me about a fuck you fund.
That was my way of putting money aside for the day that you just decided, I cannot do this job anymore. My boss is a dick.
Finance isn't a flex. It isn't as scary as most of us think it is. And Candice teaches us how knowing your numbers is quite the opposite.
How did all those other women with a family survive a 9-to-5?
Yeah.
It's not built for women. The whole system.
We cannot change a system we are too afraid to talk about. This episode is your crash course in money without the shame.
It's going to be different. It has to be different.
Because financial literacy is the second language every female founder needs to speak.
You do not have to have been born a numbers person or be good at maths at high school. That is so false. One of the most fundamental reasons why some female founders don't get funding, it's the ability to...
I am so excited to have you here because we met randomly, well, at a business conference for females, for women. So that is not that random, but we were introduced. I think we had a 60-second conversation. And in those 60 seconds, we were like, we locked eyes. It was like, you and me, we are going to be talking some more. And the more I get to know you and the more I learn about what you're building and your mission, I'm like, of course we are here today. And I am so incredibly excited for you to share not just your story, which is incredible, but tools on financial literacy, fluency, the importance of it, and how to make it accessible for women. Because, you know, we were talking about this earlier. It's kind of been gate kept and artificially made difficult. So we're going to unpack all of that today. Starting at the beginning, I want to say, I always describe my my previous business and my life in Amsterdam, but also partly here as my past life. And when I read your story and when I learn about your story, it also almost feels like a past life, like a completely different story, because it wasn't so long ago that you were doing something wildly different at a wildly different scope, surrounded by a wildly different demographic.
Yes. Take
me back to that point in your life.
It's a big part of my life, actually. So before this moment, before Founders Peak County, before New Zealand, I was living in London, and I was a CFO, working in the world of finance, surrounded by men. And
for a big company.
Yeah, for big companies. I have worked for quite a lot of companies in the tech part of the world, and because it's tech, again, many men. And so being a CFO, I landed a job. I was really lucky. I landed a job with a company called Reward Gateway. And I would consider this like the life-changing career thing that happened to me. Working for Reward Gateway, I was 27 when I joined them, and they were a really fast-paced tech business, right time as well. And they were private equity backed. So I joined at a pivotal moment when we were accelerating growth pretty rapidly. It was a big team. I joined as a finance manager, product finance manager, and quickly kind of saw that the team was being run very differently from the rest of the business, which I thought was really odd. And I'll give you an example. So day I walked in, people super friendly, full of jeans, t-shirts, friendly, smiley, right? Walk into the finance department, they were all suited and quiet. And I thought to myself, there's something wrong. What's going on? And so I actually had the opportunity to apply for the head of finance role, which was kind of 2 months after I joined the business, and I took it and I just went for it. And I said, I am only going to take this job if I have free reign to do what I want to do. And I remember the CFO saying, yeah, go ahead. So I redesigned the department, put in a new finance system. I deliberately wore jeans and casual clothing to fit in. And I made the team kind of go to the other departments instead of sending emails to connect with people. And
so even in this male-dominated, fast-paced London tech bro financial world, you already started kind of softening the edges a little bit. But I think it was still quite a different reality. You know, we were talking about this before, you know, the systems around us, whether
it's a game.
Yeah, it's a game. If you can't beat them, join them.
That's it.
So you learned how to play that game really well.
I learned how to play the game. I did. And, you know, before that I was working in a very corporate environment. So, you know, we had to wear suits and stuff like that. And it was a learning the ropes. Like how could I be really good at this? And I would kind of just lean on everyone who was better than me and learn from them. And so landing this job was just phenomenal because it accelerated my career in like ways that I didn't even anticipate. And we grew so fast. I kind of had a lot of control over that business. We exited. That was my first exit, private equity exit. Hit 14 times multiple, which is phenomenal. I mean, it was incredible. And to be part of that, I was responsible for the finance due diligence. I also did legal due diligence, and it was a wild ride.
That's the startup world for you.
Yeah.
Let's exit at 14x. And you know numbers, I'm sure you can be our legal due diligence too. Who needs a lawyer?
Yeah, right. No one wanted to do it. And I was like, I kind of like legal. It sounds really nerdy, but I did like it. And
so that just kind of propelled you into this world.
Yes, it propelled me into this world. In parallel, I still noticed that I was the only woman in the room. And this was very real for me. There were many, many events. It wasn't, we're talking my whole career was very male dominated in finance and being the only woman. The thing is, I never let that deter me.
Did you feel deterred by that? Because when I reflected back on, because our journeys are quite similar. Well, I didn't exit at 14x. I wish I'd known you. I could have. Similar in the ways that, hard cut between chapters and very much you learn how to play the game. And then you get to a point where you realize, fuck the game, let's make my own game. I was working and operating in a male-dominated world. And I remember many situations where I guess there was like sexism. But at the time, I was just like that's funny. Like there were many rooms where I was the only woman in the room and I wasn't aware of it because I was so oblivious.
Yeah. The thing that sort of grounded me to be driven and move through that always was this idea that I had to be good at what I did to prove myself, to create safety for myself. And the only way for me to do that is to learn to believe in myself. And so I've sat in a room and I was the one who initiated the meeting. And the other person in the room was, he thought I was just there to make tea. So that's happened to me.
Been there, done that.
And I did. I made the tea, by the way. I made the tea. I thought it was funny and I just sort of laughed it off. But there was another situation where it was a banking event, lots of finance people. And it was a room full of at least 100 people. And I looked around and it was me and another woman and then the serving staff. And two people came up to me at that event. One said to me, "Why are you here?" And I don't even remember what my answer was, but I'm pretty sure I walked away. And the other person was like, "Oh, hi, can I have a..."
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And this is like, guys, we're not talking about the 50s.
Maybe 8 years ago.
Yeah, I know. It's
and
it's now still.
Yeah, still now.
Yeah.
I actually on LinkedIn the other day, someone posted like a CFO photograph of like CFOs coming together for a dinner, right? And there was like 2 women and maybe 10 men. And my post response was, one day it will be 50-50 at least. Because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, so moving through that, I had this amazing role at Reward Gateway. I learned a shitload. I say to people that I learned 10 years of experience in 4 because it was. I went through 2 bank refinances, an exit, legal finance due diligence. I'd moved half of my team to Bulgaria. I'd looked after 12 companies.
Yeah, but I mean, like you say, the wealth of knowledge, because I feel like what's important is that our listeners, viewers, whatever, are female founders or just one day soon to be female founders in every growth stage. Some are pre-revenue, others have been going and are multi-million dollar companies. But often, and I find this myself, is when you hear about these huge startups and these huge exits, it feels like something so impossible and so far off. And so I really think it's incredible that what you've done is you've gotten this experience in the big bad world out there, the tech bro world, and you're bringing that in and making that accessible and understandable and bite-sizable for everyone.
Yeah. Yes, and that I think it is only been the last 4 years that I've acknowledged that my whole career, the 20 years of working in tech and for private equity backed businesses and PE houses and all of that I learned a language. Venture capitalists usually come at the stage where you're still growing and they will invest in you when you're not profitable. Whereas a private equity firm will typically only invest in you once you've hit the profitability mark and you're growing your business. And these investors are slightly different in terms of what they invest, but also what they look for in your business. So when you get to private equity, you are a serial kind of founder. You know your way. You've proved your business can operate out there and you can grow it and you can scale it. And when you're sort of starting off, it's different, right? Like a venture capitalist will understand that there's a lot of risk involved in investing in a business that's not yet profitable. And so they have a different risk appetite as well. So the investors that go into private equity and venture capitalists are just different.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's a different game. I think the world of working with venture capitalists for me has only been the last 6-7 years. Before that was like either corporate or private equity. So I kind of worked backwards.
Yeah, I love that though.
Which is actually really, do you know what? For me, it's great because what I saw was what good looks like. That was a baseline for me. I was like, this is where we need to be. And so now I get to work with people who are building businesses and I can go, I know what you need to do to get there. Yeah. Because I've been there and I've seen it and I know what they need.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer in build the business you want, not the business you have.
Yeah.
Right? Like I remember when I launched my agency back in the day in Amsterdam, at my dining room table, and at one point I had my first intern. And she's like, why is everything in English? I'm like, because we're a global agency. She's like, you are not well. Like, look around where we are sitting. We're sitting in your living room. You have a baby there, like you're trying to move the stroller so he stays asleep during our meeting. And what do you mean we're a global agency? And it's like, just plan for the business you want, not the business you have. And otherwise you're constantly playing catch up. Why would you start any smaller?
That's right. And actually, one of the things I started doing was parachuting into companies for private equity backed businesses. And I would come in kind of after the deal had been done and work with the CFOs that were already there, plus their finance teams. And I would tell them what to expect. Because when you're at that level and you're about to scale, you have to make sure that your foundations are solid. And I mean, you need to make sure your processes are robust, your reporting is efficient, you got the numbers ready. When that investor's calling and say, what's my cash flow? What's this? What's that? You've got to know it. And so I know how to do that. Like I knew how important it was to have that ready because it's so, first of all, it's access to information means you can make change faster.
Right. Informed choices.
Absolutely. And it also makes you look bloody hot, shit hot, right?
I love that. And I want to go back to those foundations. I'll circle back in a little bit about what are those foundations that we all need to know, because it's really funny. Money and sex are two things that are like very difficult to talk about for a lot of people. And there's so much meaning that we assign to money and power that we give away because of it. So let's dive into that. But before, you said something really interesting, because you said I learned how to play the game really well because I had to prove myself, because for you that became safety. Basically, as a trauma-informed coach, what I'm hearing, and also as someone who did the exact same thing, what I'm hearing, also because I lived it and I fell flat on my face, is that's a trauma response. That's fawn. That's like, you have a fight, flight, freeze, fawn. That's just like, if I just, be whatever you want me to be, then I'll be safe. So tell me money is a way for all of us in this world to feel a sense of safety, because we live in a world where we pay for water.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your background and what really informed that drive to create that sense of safety within yourself and through the means of finance.
I grew up in a pretty dysfunctional family, and I think many people can say that nowadays.
You're not special.
I'm not
We're all
special,
traumatized.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just as traumatized as the next girl.
Exactly. So I feel like that's pretty common. I think that.
And then what? What is that? It still really shapes us.
It shaped so many decisions in my life.
Exactly. So first of all, let's not downplay.
No.
First of all, it's sad that it's that common, and that does not make your experience any less relevant or real.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there was a different version of me that, because of me trying to create safety, was doing different things. So I was making different decisions, right? So, for example, I became a chartered accountant when I wanted to be an astrophysicist. Why? I got a master's degree in business. I did my PhD in corporate finance. I stayed in finance and, try to save up as much money as possible. And I created what I call a fuck you fund. And, that was my way of creating safety.
Tell me about a fuck you fund.
It's great.
It's great. Because it's more of a internal thing than it is about the money.
That's right. A fuck you fund is really putting money aside for the day that you just decided, I cannot do this job anymore. My boss is a dick. Or I need to move country. Or I need to get out of this relationship, or whatever it is, I have money that's going to give me safety to make that decision.
Yeah, because that is freedom right there. The number of people I have spoken to throughout the years that have stayed in unhappy and sometimes unsafe situations
because of money,
or because of fear that they couldn't do it by themselves. That is such power. To have that freedom to choose, and I think also knowing that it's there, whether you ever touch it or not. You go into anything, you don't go into a job because you're expecting to have a fuck you moment, or into a relationship, or into anything really.
Yes. And so that's why I said the version of me who did that. The version of me today would say, let's manage your money. Let's create a pocket, an account that puts some money aside, and we're not going to call it a fuck you fund because I don't want to have a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
I want to have spare money for the good stuff. I want an extra account of money so that I can make a good decision about my life. So I've reframed it.
I love that. It's so, how in your bank app you have sub accounts and you can name it. So people I'm just a slut for language, and I believe we build worlds with our words, and we like speak things into existence, just like you're saying. And in our language, it's not even my language, but in English, there is like, we call it like a rainy day fund, right? A fuck you fund. So one of my rainy day fund is my sunshine account.
Yes.
It's not, I'm not preparing for disaster. I'm not bracing for impact. Mm-hmm. I'm expecting the best. Good things.
That's right. What's the best that can happen? And actually, we'll lean into this because it's important, but money management is something that women weren't really taught to do. And when you think of money management, you think, oh my God, that's really expensive to go get a financial person that's going to help me manage my money. Oh my gosh.
Do you want to know what's expensive? Not understanding it.
Yes, exactly. And so it's actually really straightforward. In most of our accounts in New Zealand, you can go and just create a new one, right? Yeah. And so I have a really simple rule. Of all the money that you receive every month, you take 10% and you put that into long-term investments. And whether you put that into stocks or shares is a really easy one to do. You keep that separate. And then you take another 10% and you put that into what I call my play account. And I have to spend it before the end of the month. Because what that does is it gets you into a sense of receiving.
And it's cyclical. Yeah, exactly.
Enjoying money. And so rather than being afraid of money, I feel like getting close to it and enjoying what it does for you changes your perception of how much you can earn. This is all money mindset stuff.
Oh, it's so huge. I heard such an interesting one around this. I'm trying to think who I heard it from so I can credit them. I can't remember. So if it was you, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to steal your content. I did not come up with this. But they compared our relationship to money with attachment styles.
Yes.
So, we have the attachment styles. If you're either anxiously attached, right? Like, oh my God, don't leave me. Like, oh, I can't leave you out of my sight. Or very avoidant. Like,
that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Nonchalant or, healthy. Like,
or I don't care about money. That's
exactly.
Quite typical. Yeah.
And how our attachment styles, how we relate to others is shaped often in early childhood by our traumas. And how we relate to others, these attachment styles are a way to create a sense of safety in our system. So often there is a direct parallel between our attachment style in relating
and our upbringing.
But also our attachment style to money. Now, the beauty of attachment styles is that it's something you can shift. And I don't like the word heal because it implies that there's something sick to begin with or wrong. But as you learn how to relate in a more healthy way, you can shift your attachment to a relationship or to money.
That's right. Yeah. And actually a really good, fantastic book is Ken Honda, Happy Money.
Oh, is that thank you?
He's a Japanese billionaire. He wrote this book about happy money, and it's the belief around how you feel about money. And so he does this really simple exercise where you get your credit card out or like $1 that's in your wallet, and you feel it and you say to yourself, is that happy money or is it sad money? And the idea is that if the money came from a divorce, it's sad money, right? Typically. If the money came from doing something good, like your job, doing something really well, and you feel good about it, it's happy money. And the more happy money you have, the more money your attachment style with money is positive. And so it's a really interesting concept. I've never thought of it that way. But it does lean into women and their belief around money and how they build their business. Because the thing, you know what, I think one of the things I was thinking of yesterday was like, when did it become really apparent that actually I wanted to create Founder to be Counted? And there was one moment where I was talking to a female founder. I just feel like I don't deserve to be a successful female founder. Right? And that is that little like person on the right side of your shoulder going like, do you deserve this? Do you deserve to have money? It's very interesting, and it kind of uncovers a lot of the reasons why I think some female founders don't take, they take decisions based off these blueprints, I would call them, and these beliefs that they have around money. But what if you could shift that? What if every single female founder believed they deserve to be millionaires? I wonder what their business would look like.
It's a game changer. It's a game changer. And I think that's, what's often said, and it's, even though this is what I do also want to preface it's easier said than done, in the sense that it is layers and layers of ancestral ways of being, of programming, of continuously being just kind of pushed into a flow. So as much as I believe money mindset or any mindset work is extremely important, I think that without the embodiment is where a lot of people go wrong. Look, I'll just put some affirmations on my mirror and I'll just repeat it to myself. And it's happy money. Now it's happy money. See, happy money. And then they wonder why it's not working. And I think there's a lot of pressure through some of the self-help personal development world, that's like, if you just change your mindset, everything will be different. So I just want to preface that by honoring that by itself, first of all, is not going to create a
unicorn. But I do think that we can talk about foundations. These foundations that you can create, which is, to me, every single person can learn them. So you do not have to have been born a numbers person or understand maths or be good at maths at high school. I think that it's really sad that a lot of people come out of school and because those teachers or your exams told you weren't good at maths, that means you'll never be good at it. That is so false.
Well, I also think it's funny that you say that, because I was the poster girl for I'm not a numbers person, which is why I almost went bankrupt in my previous business, which is what turned me into a numbers person, because then all of a sudden you had to be it. But also, maths, we live in an age with AI, but even just the internet and calculators, that the math itself isn't what you need to understand. You need to understand the levers you're pulling. Yes. My kids are both really good with numbers and the sciences and all of that. I'm a language person. Clearly not this language, because I can think of words today. But so I always struggled with that. And I have conversations with my son. He tries to explain something to me, and I need to translate what he's saying. He's showing me a formula or something. I think he's given up by now. He knows me. But I still do, how in elementary school, or you're really young, it's like, okay, John has 2 apples. And But I do that because I'm a language person. I see numbers. I need to turn it into a story. I need to understand what they mean. Yes. Otherwise, it doesn't stick. I just stare at numbers. It's a language I don't speak. Yeah. So whether you can do the math, there's computers who can do the math for you. Yes. You need to understand what those numbers represent.
Yes. And you've just actually leaned into something which I think is one of the most fundamental reasons why some female founders don't get funding. And it's the ability to intertwine finances into your narrative, into your business strategy story. There are so many amazing businesses out there that have been run by women, but they just cannot, they don't know how to put finance at the forefront of that conversation. And when you're talking to investors, I'm sorry, but those investors are very financially literate.
Yeah, and also that is not a men women thing. It's like, if you're speaking to investors, you're asking for money. You're coming to. It's like going to a country where they speak a certain language, and then refusing
asking directions, and you can't get directions.
Exactly.
That's kind of, you need to be able to give a reason to the investor to invest in you.
Of course.
And you need to talk numbers. So that's really important. And it's something that I really love. I think that it's very important to be able to explain your business and to be able to incorporate numbers into that. So I think that there's no business strategy without the numbers, if I'm honest. And so that's part of the foundations of what I think is important.
We started though, because we'll that's part of the foundations. The first part is numbers are important because numbers are what makes this world go around, and not just like if you're going to investors, but any type of partnership, any type of negotiation,
bank, insurance company,
whatever. You need to understand your numbers and not be scared of them and feel comfortable around them, which I think circles back really nicely to you were saying this is in your personal life. You're saying 10% goes to long-term investment. Then 10%
goes to my play account.
Oh my God, a play account.
Which I spend. You have to spend it before the end of the month. It's a really feel-good act because if you enjoy that, you are enjoying money. I think that everyone should enjoy their money. 50% goes to what I call my necessities account. So that pays for the bills and for food and things like that. The other 30% is kind of split into, one is like super long-term savings. The other 10% is for my daughter. That's long-term savings. So that goes into like a long-term shares account. Yeah. You can ask me about that later. And I've got some share picks. And then the other bit goes into my holiday savings. So we all need a holiday. And so I do put some money aside and kind of accumulate that until we decide where to go on holiday.
So here you've touched upon something really, really interesting because that is, of your income. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion that a lot of female founders, especially in the early years, either don't pay themselves or don't pay themselves enough. Mm-hmm. I would love for you to explain how they should go about, not just like once it's in their personal name, divvying it up, but okay, so you have a business. How much of that goes to you, and do you do that, and when do you start or stop, or?
Yep.
It's a big one.
It is a big one, and the personal aspect at that time is really, it's very real. Like, it's very easy for me to say, hey, just put 10% here. But, if you're living in a shitty little like studio apartment and you don't have that, then I understand. But when you're starting a business and you are a female founder and you don't have that much money and you don't want to pay yourself because you're living out of your grandma's, basement or something, fine. It's a short period of time, right? You have to give yourself a goal. You have to set yourself a time frame. I think I'm very much one of those people that loves goals and time frames, that I set myself and targets. Mm-hmm. So I always kind of I'm very pro, okay, let's say I'm only going to live in my grandma's basement for 7 months, right? What do I need? I'm here today. This is where I need to be. What do I have to do to get from there to there? And you set yourself like a couple of bullet points. Well, I have to generate some revenue. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to have to go spend some money on some ads. Okay, how am I going to do that? Where am I going to spend the money? How do I know if it's going to work? Well, I have to do these measures. I have these KPIs, right? So then you start building up. You literally start building a plan, and you make your future. You are setting the targets for yourself, right? You're not letting life happen to you, or is this business actually going to happen? I'm just going to let things. You have to take control of it. Female founders, and I work with a lot of them that are not paying themselves a lot, and fair enough, right? Like there is this like sense that if you are a business that's funded by investors, that you shouldn't be paid like your market rate, especially when you're not profitable.
No. I'm
right?
I've always bootstrapped everything, so I don't know the world of investors at all.
Okay, and so it's different because, and also.
But I think the world of founders that go through seeding and like the funding route is probably not the majority of female founders. At least not in the beginning.
It's actually really interesting you say that. I obviously don't work with like heaps of bootstrapping founders because my area of expertise is to get you skilled up to get investment.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're bootstrapping, amazing. Fucking go for it. Like, don't get investors. It fucking sucks. Like, it's hardcore.
I am like terrified of it, and also would not recommend. I've bootstrapped my way into a multinational, multi-million-dollar business, and I would not recommend it. I was miserable. It literally landed me in hospital.
Yeah,
It's not fun
No.
or pretty.
It's not. But I have a tip for those who are funded from investors who are paying themselves, less than market rate. My tip to them is negotiate now that the difference between your rate today and your market rate is X. And you're going to be back paid for that at some point in the future. And you're going to decide on what date that is when you maybe exit or you get further investment. But make that conversation happen now, because when the time comes and your business is worth 10 million more, you're still underpaying yourself.
Yeah.
You want back pay. So do that. It's really worthwhile. It'll make you feel better knowing that there's some money that's going to be paid to make up for that difference that you've been suffering to get to where you're at. That'll be paid out and you can go on a nice long holiday or something like that.
I love that. That's really good too. And it's like planning for the business you want, not the business you have. But let's say for shits and giggles, there is a founder listening, has built a business. There is some there's a recurring revenue. Basically, yes, it's covering the cost, but it's not paying out a salary. Is there like a pie chart like you just created for your personal account? That every founder should be like, this much needs to go to
in the business,
keep in the business, or to yourself, or a long-term not fuck you fund, but if I get fucked over fund. Is there such a model that you would recommend?
No, because every single business is different. I had a call from a friend of mine who bootstrapped his own business, and he said to me, I have too much money. What do I do with it? And
you have my number, right?
And there's only two of them in the business, and they've created an incredible SaaS platform. And they have all this excess cash, and they're like, can we invest in shares? Can we buy some property? Can we do some investments? So there are ways, in the world of finance, what we say is there's unutilized cash, and what that means is like you're not utilizing that for the benefit of the business. It's just sitting there doing nothing. Yeah, and you don't want that. So
not at these interest rates.
No. So like let's say you do make an excess of cash, right? You're really cash rich, and that tends to happen when you've got a business that's in the SaaS tech business. They have a lot of cash coming in. If you have excess cash, I would say look to invest that somewhere. Either you can look to grow into a new market, right? So you need money to do that, or buy out a competitor, or invest it into shares, or just something that helps you utilize that money better. The one thing that is really obvious for every single business that I've ever worked for is your cash is spent. A lot of it is spent on people. And that's just for every business, really. But in today's world, there's a lot that we can do with AI. And I think we should all be exploring that, because there's a lot of really boring tasks that we do that we're paying people to do. I think we still need people to manage AI agents. I think that's really key. Please. Definitely, because you still need to overlook and make sure everything's correct. But I think that we could be exploring that to save and preserve more cash to then spend it on other things to grow the business. Yeah,
I think that's an excellent point. And even when it's not a business where you're like, okay, I'm super cash flow rich. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm drowning in all this money. The same is true for time. Like time is, one could argue, a precious resource, because you can always make more money. There is only this amount of time. So I think there's so much we can do these days with these tools that will help free up time and resources to allocate them where it matters. Yeah. So where does it matter? Where does that need to go to, that freed up energy within those businesses?
Well, building growth, really, doesn't it? I love working with businesses that are keen to make a difference, to make a change, do something meaningful in the world. I love working with businesses that are predominantly women. Yes. I really do like it. It's just different. Conversations.
Tell me how.
This changed me. this changed me because the only time that I actually got to talk to female founders was when I joined 500 Global, and
which is
an accelerator. Well, 500 Global is a VC firm in the US. It's massive. They run accelerators all over the world. And I started working with them 5-6 years ago and did my first accelerator in Saudi Arabia. And I was exposed.
And is this only women, or 500 Global is every?
It's men and women.
Yes.
But it's the first time that I started working with female founders. So throughout my whole career, it was male founders.
Yeah.
Male management. Some women, but mainly men.
Yeah.
And this was really interesting because these women, something just changed. I felt I could connect differently. I felt like the conversations were more real, that they were more honest. I had one female founder who joined a call and said, I got my period today. I feel like shit. And I was like, could you do that with a guy on the other side of the phone?
No. Well, you can. And it's actually quite fun because it makes them very uncomfortable. I've actually made a sport out of it. But traditionally,
it's different because then what happens is there's a sense of empathy that you get from that call and just authenticity, that you can just be more sensitive and you're allowed to be. And throughout my whole career, I was like, don't show emotion. Never cry.
Be a robot.
Be a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And it was
big dick energy.
Yeah, all the time. And it was like, I need to be on show performing constantly. Whereas when I started talking to women, it was more about connection. It was more real and authentic, and it was beautiful. And I became more myself on those calls. And it took me a while to realize this. I was like, why am I feeling so much more excited talking to women than I do with men?
Because it's starting to show how far you've actually wandered without realizing.
That's right. That's right. And I kind of built this version of me that was not me.
Yeah.
I was kind of like a bit of a man.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I had to be. I was working in a male-dominated space, and you have to build this set of armor.
And you have to. And I think that's where the catch-22 lies, we were talking about before, right? You kind of have to be, but we also have to be because we all keep doing it and pressing subscribe. So yes, we have to be, but there's a point where we get to take ownership. And instead of being like, yes, we have to in this world, be like, hold on, we're just perpetuating this storyline.
That's right.
And we're modeling it to the next generations.
Yeah. I had a really funny call last week. I just started working with 2 incredible female founders in Australia, building an amazing business. And they were like, we just want a female CFO to help us with some stuff. And I was like, I'm your woman. I had a call with a guy on the other side of the phone last week. And he was like, don't be afraid to get the stick out. And after that, he dropped off, and I was like, ladies, don't be afraid to get the stick out. And we were like, what? Like, it's just not how we women talk.
No.
It just isn't. And it's just a little bit, it's just very different.
So how do you marry that? Because I couldn't agree more. And I think more alignment with who you are is necessary to actually co-create and collaborate and relate to others in an authentic way. And but how do you marry that and the saying, okay, this feels more real and it's more about impact and vision with, I don't know, rewinding the clock 5 minutes, being about it needs to be numbers and facts, and we're freeing up resources for growth. I feel like they feel to me like opposing forces, and you seem to marry those very well in your work, where you're helping female founders navigate this world of finance. Yeah. So how do you see that dance between the two? Because growth for the sake of growth,
it breaks shit.
It breaks shit. I have something with words today. It's been all day. It's terrible. I promise you, I do speak English. Some, little bit.
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting the idea that you can with the right language and the right tools, that you can grow something, and you can grow it to the same degree that a guy could grow it, right? I love the idea that I can share my knowledge. I think that's really important. I don't know how, but I've always believed that there's no kind of purpose in dropping all of the experience that you've had to change and do something different, right? So there wasn't a part of me that said, okay, I'm going to start a business, but to do that, I'm going to have to forget my past, right?
No.
I think my past informs who I am today very much.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Got me to where I am. And so like even my PhD in corporate finance is about how do we get businesses to be more sustainable? And I remember writing my thesis proposal, and I sent it to the University of Auckland. And I remember on my interview, one of the professors was like, well, it's kind of radical.
I know. So radical. Sustainable business.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The circular economy thing. What? And then fast forward 6 months later after COVID, people were like, can you tell me about your research? This is incredible. And so at the time, I really wanted to do something that was very important to me, and that was looking after the planet, like doing something that left a place better than it was. And I thought initially that I had to go and study like a degree in sustainability. And actually I did start a degree in sustainability.
Oh God.
And I hated it. And I was like, wait, why do I have to start from the beginning? Why can't I just like, surely
Combine
we need money to change the world? And I know about money. So can I just do that together? And of course I can.
And that's, I mean, more than anything, impact-driven businesses, more than any other type of business I've seen and person I've seen and interacted with, have this extra layer of belief that if your goal as a charity or a business or a person is to help out, like you should not make money, because that makes you evil. Because, well, I know it's ridiculous, but there is this, like, you know, money is like there's this dichotomy.
But let me just throw this one at you. If a person who has all these beautiful qualities and wants to change the world had more money, wouldn't they help more people?
Exactly. But it's that, you know, it's that mindset, it's that belief that is quite stagnant.
But where does that come from? I feel like that comes from, I really like this conversation, because I feel like that conversation comes from a place where people want excuses for being poor.
Oof. Tell me more.
Well, it's got to be. It's an excuse.
I will, I'll see your excuse, or I'll see your hypothesis, and I'll raise you one.
Raise me go.
I wish I had some poker chips here. Don't even know how to play poker, but I feel like that's a poker reference. I'm not sure. I hear you. People want an excuse to stay poor. I think it is, if they were to let go of that excuse, they would have to face off with the responsibility of what they'd have to do to change their circumstance. So it's easier to stay in a victim mindset of, it is because of A, B, and C that I can't.
Yes.
I don't think anyone actively chooses to be poor. I think the poor is the little like bush behind which they hide.
Yes.
So they don't have to see, oh fuck, now I actually need to step it up. Because if it's really up to me,
that's it. And then I have to do something about it. I believe all of that. There's also this really interesting belief that people think the people with the 1% of wealth are like evil. Okay? Like they're responsible for COVID and vaccines and all the drama and everything. It also comes from a place of believing that money is scarce.
Oh yes,
like
there's a finite.
The 1% of people.
I mean, and the
have all the money
irony of that. I mean, the irony of that, especially it's again money mindset. Things get fucking drilled into us from childhood. Money doesn't grow on trees. It literally does. Yeah. It's paper, and they print more and more of it every fucking second. Right. It's worth less and less every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I mean, it literally grows on trees. But it's that belief of like, and that's in general, you know, when you're saying what Found to Be Counted is about in terms of linking arms and making that accessible and rewriting what is possible. Yeah. Like the same is true for that. It's like for what I do in terms of there's such a scarcity mindset, even in the highest echelons of entrepreneurship and foundership. There's still this idea of I get funding, you don't. If I succeed or if you succeed, then there's not less for me. And that it creates a world where people are growing up in nuclear families. You know, the idea of the village is gone, of like asking for support or collaboration or being vulnerable or, I don't know, God forbid, have emotions or have a physical response is weakness. Mm-hmm. So it's all built to disconnect us from each other, from ourselves, from the natural rhythms of the universe. It's ridiculous.
But then the other thing happens, which is they also believe that the mountain is too high to climb. And it stops people, brilliant people with ideas, from ever starting. I think that's the sad part. And I think that if we focused, I really do believe that if we focused more on the amazing achievements that badass women are having out there, that we could be lifted and motivated in a way that's different from how we're focusing our attention today. And it all comes from the Roger Bannister effect.
I do not know the Roger Bannister effect, but tell me.
So Roger Bannister is an athlete. He ran a mile under 4 minutes.
Oh yeah, the 4 minute mile, yes.
So since he did that, 2,000 other athletes did it.
Yeah, because they believed it was physically possible. Yeah, well, therefore it was.
Exactly. They didn't just overnight become really fast.
No.
They believed that they were shown a way. Do you know that, interesting, those 2,000 are all men? And so if a woman did it, I wonder what would happen then. And so I wonder whether if we keep focusing on all these incredible women that are paving the way, that are changing the rules, that are showing us how to do it, that we are shown that if they can do it, we can too.
Yes, I agree. And where I get stuck is the top of the mountain versus people who feel, like you say, the mountain is too big to climb. I feel if we only shine a light on the stories of, look, I made it, I'm on the top of the mountain, how amazing, you can do it too, without actually saying, hey, I took that road and I rested there and oh my God, I fell and I nearly didn't get up there. And that is what we're doing not here. Here we're doing the opposite. But that is what we're doing in the world where we do share the stories. It's all hashtag, I woke up like this. This is, I got I exit, and not at you, but 14x exit and so many millions. And I've got so many millions. And if you're sitting there by yourself with your laptop, and you're like, you have your vision and you maybe have a few people remotely and maybe you've hit your first target, but you're like, great, like, yay, you're up there. I know it's possible. How the fuck?
Well, and so I agree. I think that the mountain is a different size for different people at different times in their lives. I think that I'm not saying let's only shine the light on the people that are building unicorns. I'm saying let's shine the light on all the fucking women who are doing incredible stuff, like falling over, making mistakes, but getting up again, building their third business, being insolvent. Like, let's shine the light on that.
I promise, guys, I didn't pay her to be the ad girl for the Powerhouse Diaries, but here we are.
I think that's important, and but that's what I mean. Let's not focus on our limitations. Let's focus on the fact that women are getting up there and they're trying and they're doing these incredible things.
When it comes to financing, which is really your field of expertise, what are those foundations that every female founder, no matter where she is on the mountain or if she's on the speed bump down the road, just looking at the mountain, should know and understand about their business? What are the non-negotiables in like layman's terms?
the absolute non-negotiable is knowing the ins and outs of your cash. Okay?
Okay.
That is like...
The ins and outs of your cash, as in where is it going?
Where are you spending your money? How much is coming in? And I would say that any female founder starting out, like, it's really basic. It's like all you need is your bank statement. Just have a look at what's coming in, what's coming out, and what your cash balance is that day, and get the feel. Because
don't look away, guys.
Don't look away, and don't be that one like signs up to all those subscriptions, and you have all these costs coming out. And you're like, oh my God, I only looked at my cash flow today. It's been 3 weeks, and I have way less than I thought. And it's because you signed up to a whole bunch of subscriptions and AI tools and all these other things. That's what I mean by like.
I love that 3 weeks is your like worst case scenario.
You're like,
I once didn't do that for 10 months and nearly went bankrupt. To be fair, neither my CFO didn't catch that either. But okay, 3
CFO.
weeks. No, yeah, 3 weeks, guys. That's super long.
Weekly. Okay, so it's a 5-minute task, and you can do it with a cup of coffee on a Tuesday, because usually bank feeds come in on a Tuesday. I have a really useful cash flow tool, really simple one that I can share with anyone.
Yes,
if they want to email me, I can send it to them. And all it does is helps you get control, because what is cash? It's just something that's there that you need to utilize. Don't let it run out of control. It's like you taking your kid to the mall. If you don't watch them, you're gonna lose your kid.
Yeah.
Same with cash. So I think it's really important that you get sticky with your cash, like keep it close. And if you do this exercise every Tuesday in the morning with a cup of coffee or something like that, I think that you will feel less anxious.
Spend a lot on coffee.
You will spend a lot on coffee. You can expense that.
50% entertainment.
You will feel less anxious. You'll feel closer to the numbers. And honestly, if you're talking to investors and they ask you that question, how much cash have you got in the bank? If you don't know the answer, you're dead in the water.
Right. Okay, so cash, know your cash. What's the other foundation that you need to understand? Because if we're all swimming in cash, we're not talking to investors. Like, you need to have a handle on it.
You need a handle on it, even if you have $100, right? You really need to have a handle.
I'm not saying like let's not. I'm saying we're going to investors because we want more wiggle room and more room to play with.
Yeah. So if you're going to investors, but also just trying to run your business, I think one of the really key tools for you is to learn how to read a profit and loss. Like, really important.
Yeah.
What am I saying by that? I'm saying, do you understand why your revenue is what it is? Do you know what's driving that? Do you know that you spend how much to drive that revenue? Like, if you have an online product business, how much did you spend to get that $1,000? Did you spend $900? Okay, what is...
Or $2,000 sometimes.
Yeah.
Because
sometimes you have to spend money in the beginning.
And I do believe in the principle, as someone who's always bootstrapped and nearly went bankrupt and still managed to build and sell a business of that scale, you have to spend money to make money.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest mistakes I made in my first big business was I was so tight with my cash that I would just wait until I had at least the confirmed revenues coming in, signed and sealed, before I would invest, which means I was always running after the fact. I was always chasing my own tail. I was always hiring too late or investing just after. I had a need, but I needed to secure the funds first. And I think that is one of my biggest learnings from that first business, that I may have taken too far a little bit here and there at times, where I'm like, actually waiting till it's there.
Till you had the money. Yeah. This is interesting. I work with a couple of founders, and they're in a similar boat where they're like preserving their cash because they know they only have a limited finite amount. They're still trying to generate revenue enough to cover their costs. And they're like, oh, should I get the revenue first or should I get investment first? Should I, and they're really trying to figure that one out, because I know it's a lot to give away a percentage of your business to investors. It's also a lot to have to manage them. And I get that. But the one thing I'd say is speed is really important in today's world. Like if you've got a business idea and it's a tech business, for example, predominantly tech, actually it doesn't really matter anymore. People are building things really fast.
Yeah.
If you are gonna just take the slow road, you risk the business falling flat because someone else raised 50 billion and could accelerate across the globe.
Right.
So I think I think you need to follow your intuition on that one. I think there's a difference between fear and intuition. I think if your intuition is telling you, frickin', you got to do this now.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite things that I tell all of my clients and remind myself of frequently is that fear and excitement are the exact same frequency. Like we know, scientifically proven, guys, don't worry, I'm not being a woo-woo witchy girl. Well, I mean, I am, but not right now. That emotions have certain frequencies, and we are just, energy, like atoms, vibrating, thank you, at a certain frequency. Fear and excitement are the exact same frequency. The only thing that determines whether we experience it as fear or as excitement is the meaning we assign to it. So how do you know, are you moving or not moving out of fear, or is it excitement? Because anything in the unknown, right, is going to feel unfamiliar because it's unknown. And I think the biggest somatic cue I can give anyone is just if you close your eyes and imagine taking that leap, whatever that is. Do you feel somatically on a physical level? Do you feel a contraction, hiding away? Or an expansion of bring it on.
Yeah.
And that's the differentiator. That's how subtle it is. Yeah. And that's why, for example, mind alone, because your mind can convince you, I can tell you.
It's protecting you.
Yeah. First of all, your ego's, its job is to keep you exactly safe. Where you are.
Yeah.
Because that's safe.
Don't do anything new.
And it can also, especially, being a high achieving, intelligent woman, which everyone here is, give you a very convincing reasoning on any angle to the same subject, and you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. This is blue. No, this is green. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
There is another way of looking at it, which is this sort of Carol Dweck growth mindset way, which is push yourself to do something that you would ordinarily not do, that takes you out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And I think after the exercise, I think you're right. There's an element of if it's contraction, then something's telling you it's probably not a good idea. But if you feel expansion, the thing that will take you to action, I feel, is this idea that just fucking do it. Just push yourself. You don't know what's going to happen. You live once.
Yeah, I heard this story, and this is not aligned with my personal belief system, but I love the story of it, just the storytelling element. And the story is that, when we die, the version of us that we became comes face to face with the version of us we could have been. And that idea can either be very terrifying or really exciting. And I think for me, it was very terrifying notion that could be a very different version, because I could have been all these things, but I didn't because of fear. So for me, that is something, even though that is not necessarily how I envision this happening, but one of my goals is I want to make that gap as small as possible. The potential, the unmet potential, unrealized potential that is here in any given moment, I want to maximize it as much as I can.
Absolutely. I use something similar, which is sitting down and writing the story. If I'm in my last day, if I wrote the story from then of my life, what would that story look like? And I think that's a really exciting thing, because it means that you can pave the way to creating that life that you want to create. So very similar, but
yeah, I love that. Okay, the foundations. You need to keep your cash tight. Read a P&L.
Learn how to read a P&L.
Right.
Okay, so P&L, profit and loss.
Yes.
every single business has one.
Yes.
Okay. Some of them are really straightforward and simple. Some of them are really complex. But if you have a business, you have one, you're gonna have to ask yourself, like, how do those numbers get in there? That's what I do. This is what I love.
Yeah.
This is like I will pick your brain. Any female founder that I work with, I'm going to pick you. I'm going to pick every single one of those numbers, and I'm going to find out, how did they get in there? Like, why did you spend that much money on X? Like, what did it do for your business? Where did it add value? What driver did it do? Did it add to revenue? Is it just the cost that you need for operations? And we dissect it. So dissect it, because if you dissect your profit and loss, you're actually doing the hard work. You're understanding exactly what's moving through your business.
Do you feel that is something people struggle with? Like, because even as you're saying it, and I'm in full agreement, I'm like, ooh, like just, I feel this, ooh, wait, hold on. Like, it feels almost like, not in the way you're doing it. Well, not just a big job, but also it's very confronting.
Yes, it is.
It's very confronting.
Yeah.
How do you,
like
what is your advice for people and me? But what's your advice for people who are like, okay, fine, I'm listening, Candice, I'm doing the thing, I'm getting a handle on my money, on my cash, I'm going to learn how to read a P&L, and I'm going to learn how to actually turn those numbers into, I had 3 apples and then I gave 4 to John, instead of like understand what was moving. But that can feel quite exposing. There's something kind of, I guess, vulnerable around that. How would you kind of coach someone through any resistance that comes up around dissecting that?
Do you know what? It's actually, if you don't have someone sort of guiding you through that process, it can be quite confronting. I tell you what though, like, do it 2-3 times. I will guarantee you'll feel relief and so much more control over numbers. I only had to do it. So I had a female founder that I worked with recently, and she would say to me, oh my gosh, this is just too much. And all I did was open up a spreadsheet. And I said, just wear a different coat today. Today, you're going to just listen, and you don't have to do anything else. And it took 2 or 3 times. But like by the 3rd time, she's like, oh my God, for the first time in my career, she's 50. For the first time, I feel comfortable talking about numbers. And so all that means is that you can learn to do it. And it's not really that bad. It's the same as opening up your bank balance. It's the same thing. It's like understanding where your money's going. But how does it drive the business? The reason why it's a bit scary is because if you think about it, what I'm asking you is, how are you driving revenue? And that can be a bit like, maybe I'm not doing it well.
I think that's it. I think people are, as hard as it is to talk about money, but because we are not taught how to be financially literate, let alone fluent. There is a shame around it, a fear of judgment. Like, I should know better. I'm this old, or I haven't been, like, I should know better. And it feels kind of exposing a weakness, which is there for a reason. We haven't been taught. So let's change that. But that's why it can feel scary.
100%. I read something recently. I can't remember who did the research, but 72% of female founders cite that financial literacy was their biggest challenge. That's incredible. That's massive, because it means that it's holding them back from explaining the numbers to interested parties if they want to invest. It's holding them back from actually building sustainable businesses. So when I say sustainable, I mean companies that can maintain cash flow. And so I think, like, it's just pushing yourself through that uneasiness.
I think it's also, especially as female founders, we I don't know, actually, I think that's just founders, but our businesses are our babies, right? We have a vision, and we often sacrifice a lot to make that happen, because like founder life isn't necessarily for everyone. And I think poking at those numbers is kind of like someone going, but how many times a day do you feed your baby? And oh, wait, you gave her yogurt?
Yeah.
Oh, you gave her...
Was there sugar in that?
Was there sugar in that? Was that like organically farmed with only left-handed blind mice? No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it feels like, you know, that's kind of dichotomy. Like, oh, there's that judgment. So I think taking that away and also saying, like, here, out loud, and you've seen this, I'm sure, everywhere, that even like as someone who built a multi-million-dollar business, a multinational business, I still find that scary, and I still get that like protective like energy of like, oh no, wait, no, I'm doing it wrong. Yeah. Are you going to tell me that I've been, giving my child, crack, or neglecting it? Worse, neglecting it, and I should know better.
Or you should know your numbers better.
Exactly. Yeah. So let this be this. If this conversation can be anything, let it be the permission slip. Mm-hmm. For anyone listening to be exactly where they are, and that is where you start, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And I think I agree. I think there's the shame amongst women with finance is really holding them back. I think it's important to say that it's not your fault. It's the system's fault.
But it is our responsibility to change the fucking game.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. And so we have a choice now. Mm-hmm. And that is to just push ourselves into learning more about finance, putting it at the forefront of our game and understanding it, because I usually explain finance as this massive funnel. And everything that goes on in the business, it doesn't matter what it is. If you hire a person, if you go set up another legal entity, if you go send a product to Japan, it doesn't matter what it is. If you buy a coffee from down the road, it all funnels down into finance. There's absolutely nothing you can do in your business that I wouldn't see. Nothing. So it is fundamental to grasp it, to understand it. Definitely.
And I think when you do, it also takes that internalized toxic shame, which is very debilitating, and turns it into a hype word that I hate, but it's appropriate if I can remember it today, but into a sense of empowerment. Because once you do, and once you know that you're overspending on your coffees every Tuesday because you're looking at the numbers, or you have 17 overlapping AI tools, or you forget to cancel, ADHD founder here, like a 2-week trial, and suddenly accidentally committed to a yearly subscription. Like yes. I don't know where I got those examples. That would never happen to me. Not all the time.
They've happened to me
all the fucking time. But it makes you feel so good when you get a grip on this. Some parting words, because we can do this forever, and we have dinner plans. By the way, guys, like this side note, we started by saying we met 60 seconds in the lobby during a break of a women's event. And I invited Candice to not just come on the podcast, but I was like, I'm going to this Auckland Startup Week dinner tonight. Maybe join me. She's like, yeah, but I live in Raglan, which is a 2.5 hour, for those not in New Zealand, 2.5-ish hour drive. I'm like, oh, well, do you want to stay the night at my place? Like, my daughter's not there. You can stay in her room. And I mean, if we talk about the instant connection. I mean, I might be a serial killer. She might, but I've now said it on camera. But it's that's the kind of connection. It would be weird if a guy did that.
Exactly. I just wouldn't say yes. I would not say yes.
No, that sounds unsafe. Any final words, any like finance misconceptions that must die right now, anything that everyone listening just has to understand when it comes to finance and funding?
Every great business idea deserves to be successful, and I think that I think that you can absolutely have a chance at raising capital. I don't believe in all those limitations. I think that you can just build incredible narrative, have a sound financial strategy, and anyone can do it. There's not one single person that cannot do it.